Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody had a good Easter weekend. It actually wasn't too bad weather-wise yesterday, if I remember correctly. We got a little bit cold in the afternoon, but for the most part, it was good. Mrs. Chen and I watched our church services online on YouTube and got our Easter message. And we didn't really do anything special. We just kind of hung out and we are now going to be, we just started our Marvel Comics universe, the MCU. We're watching them all in not chronological order by release, but chronological order according to the MCU timeline. So we started out with Captain America, the original one, the first Avenger, and then we watched Captain Marvel, and then we watched Iron Man last night. And on deck in the next couple days will be Iron Man 2. So we're excited to do that. It gives us a little bit something to look forward to. But anyways, really hope you guys had some time to be able to Zoom or talk with some family, some friends. You guys, I saw some good meals on social media, and kind of made me jealous because it made me think about the times when we would get together as a family. We'd have ham or something like that, or turkey or whatever it was, and just have a really nice meal together as a family. But we made do. We called my parents. We had my Mrs. Chen was able to contact some our cousins, Pennsylvania and northern Wisconsin, on Saturday. So it was good. But I would encourage you guys to maybe reach out to someone. Yesterday, I just wished happy Easter to a friend of mine, and he went on this whole tangent about his dad. And I just, I was there for him. So I encourage you guys to just send a quick welcome or a quick text or something like that. Hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you for a while. It really does make a difference in someone's life to know that someone's checking in on them and someone cares for them. So I encourage you guys to do that. All right, so today's reading is we are finishing up chapter, what chapter? Chapter 12. Remember, Lefty Lewis is with Bud now, and they're on their way back to Flint, and they get stopped by a police officer who's looking for people that are organizing union factories. So we're going to start on page 138, and we're going to read till the end, which is on page 148. So we got 10 pages today.
And he was going to look in the box, and
Yes.
we were left at a cliffhanger.
He was going to look in the box, okay? So Lefty Lewis yelled, "Bud!" I jumped so high I nearly banged my head on the roof of the car. I yelled back, "Yes, sir." "I didn't hear you swear to keep your lips locked." "Ah, shucks, Mr. Lewis, I swear. But I'd feel a lot better if I could take a doggone nap." I snatched the top off the box and got ready to be scared to death. Yes, that's right. The cliffhanger I left with you before was he was going to look in the box and Lefty Lewis was going to show him what's in the box, and then we left it at that. So imagine the cliffhanger was dun dun dun. And it was just some paper with writing on it. Maybe the pistol or the loot was under all this paper. I kept lifting paper until I got to the bottom of the box. Nothing. I looked at Lefty Lewis. He said, "I warned you. Pretty dangerous, isn't it?" I must have missed something. I went through the box again. "How's some paper dangerous, sir?" "Read it." I took one of the papers out. It said, "Attention railroad workers. The newly formed Grand Rapids branch of the Brotherhood of Pullman Porters will be holding an informational meeting on Wednesday, July 23rd, 1936. All interested parties, please come to 2345 Colebrook at 9 o'clock. Refreshments will be served. You know what we're up against. Please keep this as confidential as possible." It was starting to make sense. I said, "Mr. Lewis, are you one of those labor organizers?" He laughed. "Not really, bud. I'm picking these up so we can pass them on in Grand Rapids. We've been negotiating to get a union for the Pullman Porters for years now, and nowhere in Grand Rapids will print these flyers for us. The only place that would do them is all the way in Flint. You are running away to a pretty hot town, young man." Wow. That trouble the policeman was talking about the factory is called a sit-down strike. Instead of walking in front of the plant with signs, the people who are on strike just sit down on their job. That way the bosses can't bring other people in to steal their jobs. They're going to sit there until the company gives them a union, so the company is trying everything they can think of to get them out. That's why I said those flyers are so dangerous. The people who run the factories and the railroads seem to be really scared. To them, if a worker has any dignity or pride, he can't be doing a good job. Boy, these automobiles were great for making you clock out. Between the car floating real soft down the road and Lefty Lewis's boring stories about the railroad and the union and baseball, I was out cold in no time. When I woke up, I looked out the window and stretched. Lefty Lewis said, "I was about to take you to Butterworth Hospital. I thought you left the earth for good." He pointed out of the window and said, "Looking familiar?" Uh-oh. "Yes, sir." I pointed at a gasoline filling station and said, "Yep, there's the gasoline filling station." He said, "I guess your daddy would have to burn premium in that big Packard, wouldn't he? I don't think those big engines can run on ethyl gasoline." I said, "No, sir, that's right." He told me, "Well, you and your daddy have one beautiful machine." I was getting real nervous, but I said, "Thank you, sir." We turned another corner and my heart started jumping around in my stomach. Halfway down the street was a building that looked like it was made out of giant chopped down trees, the log cabin. Uh-oh. Right outside the place was a sign that said, "Appearing Friday through Sunday in July, Herman E. Calloway and the Nubian Knights of the New Deal." My father had joined a new band. Lefty Lewis pulled up next to a car that was as long as a boat. He said, "Ah, there's the Packard. He's here." I had to think real fast. I couldn't let Mr. Lewis and Herman E. Calloway talk to each other. If they did, I'd be on the first thing smoking back to Flint. And besides, I felt kind of bad about lying to Mr. Lewis. I wish I didn't have to. Lefty Lewis cut the car off and pulled the key out of the dashboard. I said, "Mr. Lewis, this is going to be very embarrassing for me." "What is, Bud?" "Can I go talk to my father by myself, sir? I swear I'll turn myself into him." Lefty Lewis looked at me kind of hard. "Well, Bud, I don't mean to sully your reputation, but you just ran away from that man all the way across the state. I think I'd better hand deliver you. "But Mr. Lewis, sir, I need to explain it to him by myself. I promise I'll go in and not run away again." Lefty Lewis looked out of the windshield like he was thinking. He reached back across the seat and put his hand on the twine, keeping my suitcase together. He said, "I'll tell you what, Bud, you don't go anywhere without this, do you?" I said, "No, sir." "Okay, here's a deal I'll give you." He looked at his wristwatch. 5 minutes to talk to your dad alone. If you're not back by then, I'll bring your bag in for you. It wasn't great, but what did it have to do? Besides, it gave me some more time to think. "Please promise that you won't look inside of it, sir." He raised his hand. "You've got my word." I got out of the car and walked to the front of the log cabin. The doors looked like they were made out of chopped down trees, just like the rest of the building. I looked back at Lefty Lewis and he was still watching, so I opened one of the doors. I knew it was one of those doors that Mama had been talking about. I walked in to see what was going to happen. Shucks, there was another set of regular doors inside. The front door closed behind me and I was in the dark. I tried the other door and it came open, but I didn't push it all the way in. I waited, then went back out to get my bag. I walked over to the driver's side of Lefty Lewis's car, smiled and said, "Thank you very much, sir. He's in there. He was so glad to see me that I'm not even in a whole lot of trouble. He's real busy right now and told me to tell you thank you very much and that he'd get a hold of you." Lefty Lewis smiled too. "Well, you might be happy now, but if I know anything about your daddy, I expect you're going to be having problems sitting down before this night's over." Now, I know he's going to tell you this, but I got to add my 2 cents. Son, there just aren't too many places a young Negro boy should be traveling by himself, especially not clear across Michigan. There are folks in the state that make your average Ku Kluxer look like John Brown. You know who John Brown is? No, sir. That's all right. He's out there smoldering somewhere. But the point is, you were very lucky this time. You've got to be good and stay put. I know your dad's not the easiest man in the world, but believe me, he's mellowed a lot from when it was just him and your sister. The next time you have a mind to do a little traveling, you come on down to the train station and ask for Lefty Lewis first. I won't tell anyone, but we need to talk before you sit out on your own again. Lefty Lewis. Think you can remember that name? Lefty Lewis. Well, at least he was using the alias all over and not just with me and his family in Flint. He headed my bag out of the window. "Okay, get back on in there and tell your daddy I said hello." "Thank you, Mr. Lewis." I stood waving until the big car turned out into the street. I sucked in a jumbled gulp of air and opened the front door again. This time I pushed the second set of doors open and walked in. It was dark, but I could see that there were 6 men sitting in a circle on a little stage at the other end of the room, and one of them was white. 5 of the men had their eyes on the other guy. One of them had drumsticks in his hands and was leaned over it, softly tapping out a rhythm on the wooden stage floor. 3 of them were drinking from bottles of pop, and one, a real old one, was using a rag to wipe the inside of a trumpet. The guy who had to be my father was sitting with his back to me wearing a hat. He was talking just like me, and it didn't take much listening to tell he was lying, or at least doing some real good exaggerating, just like I do. That was all the proof I needed. His voice was a lot rougher and more tired sounding than I thought it would be. He leaned back in his chair. That's right. After I won the Golden Globes, no one could tell me I wasn't going to be middleweight champ within 2-3 years tops. The drummer stopped tapping. Middleweight? What? This was so long ago gravity wasn't as strong as it is now. Or did a pound just weigh less back then? The others laughed, but my dad didn't let it bother him. That's right, middleweight. You've got to keep in mind that I had more hair and a fewer pounds back then. He pulled the hat off and rubbed his hands over his glass smooth head. My dad shaved his hair. That was something I always wanted to do too. He said, my manager goes and lines up a bout against a fighter out of Chicago by the name of Jordan Snaggletooth McNevin. From the name, I'm expecting some young Irish kid with bad teeth, but this guy was one of us and so old that he could have been a waiter at the Last Supper. When the fight began, I wasn't about to show mercy. When the fight began, I wasn't about to show mercy. You understand? All the guys on stage were nodding. And to make a long story longer, I go out and flick this halfway stiff right jab clean at Pop's head. And the horn guy said, Herman, to this day, I can't believe you swung at that old man. What was I supposed to do, Jimmy? I wasn't trying to kill him or nothing. I just wanted to put him down quick and quiet. Jimmy went, And the next thing I know, I'm watching my mouthpiece and my chance to be champ flying out of the ring into the fourth row of seats. I ain't never been hit so hard in my life. The drummer said, what, you lost one fight and quit? Then Herman E. Calloway said the words that let me know I was right. I felt like someone had cut a light on inside of me. I knew it had been right for me to come all the way from Flint to Grand Rapids to find my dad. The idea that had started as a teeny-weeny seed in a suitcase was now a mighty maple. Herman E. Calloway, my father, said, there comes a time when you're doing something and you realize it just doesn't make any sense to keep on doing it. You ain't being a quitter. It's just that the good Lord has seen it fit to give you the sense to know, you understand, enough is enough. That was the exact same thought I had when I got whipped by Toddy Boy. Only two folks with the same blood would think them just alike. I sucked in a big gulp of air, got a good grip on my suitcase, and walked into the lightest stage. The old horn guy, Jimmy, saw me first and said, I thought I heard that door open. Did Miss Thomas send you, son? I just kept walking onto the stage. I had to see my father's face. I knew we'd look so much alike that the truth would hit him as hard as that Snaggletooth guy had. Even Lefty Lewis said he could tell me and Herman E. Calloway were kin. He turned to see who Jimmy was talking to, and my mighty maple started shaking in the wind. My dad's face was old. My dad's face was real old, just like this horn guy. Maybe too old, but there was just too much proof that this was my father. He smiled at me. He had his arms crossed over a great big stomach with his head wiping rag hanging out of his right hand. The first thing my dad said to me was, well, little man, what brings you here, Miss Thomas? I don't know any Miss Thomas, sir. So what are you doing here? He put his hand over his eyes to shield them from the stage lights and looked out into the dark part of the bar. I noticed how wrinkly my dad's hand was. Who brought you here? Your folks out there? No, sir. I'm here to meet my father. Jimmy said, who's your daddy? Why'd he tell you to meet him here? I kept looking at Herman E. Calloway. He didn't tell me to meet him here, sir. I come all the way from Flint to meet my daddy for the very first time. All the men looked over at the drummer. He stopped tapping. He said, oh man, look at this child, ain't no kin of mine. What's your mama's name, boy? I said, you ain't my daddy. I pointed right at Herman E. Calloway's big belly. You know it's you. All the eyes jumped on Herman E. Calloway. He quit smiling and looked at me a lot harder, like he was really noticing me. I knew if it was a regular kid, I'd be crying buckets of tears. I didn't want these men to think I was a baby, so I was real glad that my eyes don't cry no more. My nose plugged up and a little growl came out of my mouth. But I kept my finger pointed, cleared my throat, and said, I know it's you. All right, so I'm curious to see what's gonna happen next. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. Like I said, today, this is spring break week. I will still be assigning, I won't be giving any more reworks passages, but I do encourage you. I did get an email from Math IXL that my class has answered like 5 or 2,000 questions, spent 7 hours on Math IXL. Awesome, guys, good job. Anyways, so no math sheets this week. There's plenty of math stuff for you guys to do, Khan Academy, Prodigy, stuff like that. Please use the technology. I will be uploading 2 videos today. They'll keep you posted for the next, or they'll keep you guys occupied for the next couple days. I'll be uploading a couple more videos on Wednesday and then on Friday this week, and then they'll be in a spring break. I encourage you guys to hang in there. Things are looking better. There's been talk about reopening some stuff. And also, special shout out to Mr. Dalkey. Happy birthday today. Must be nice to turn 25 again, right, man? And anyways, I love your cooking. I love your when you grill out and stuff like that. It kind of makes me hungry. Maybe I'll have to stop by sometime when you're grilling or something and get some chicken or something like that. So anyways, take care. Love you guys. I really miss you guys. And if you guys need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Oh, wait. Brewers. Pick a player. Any Brewer player. Past, present,
Future.
If you want to go that far into the minor league system. Give me 5 interesting facts about them, what number they play, what number they wear, what position they play, their background history, where they're born, do they have a family, what levels of baseball they played so far, things like that. You can also research the Brewers minor league affiliates. They have a AAA team, a AA team, an A ball, rookie ball, low A, so things like that. Okay, so have fun with that. Love you guys. Take care. See you soon. Bye.